Well, hello my loves. Before we begin the intro, I just want to show you my new scrunchie. Guess who got me this? Our queen, Amanda Rachely. So thank you, my love, if you see this. Well, I know I haven't seen you all in a while. I must say, it's been nice to pick up my bullet journal and actually film the spreads a little bit. I didn't think I would be feeling that way, so it's been a nice surprise. Maybe it's actually because I've been liking my bullet journaling process a little bit more, which, we'll get into in this video, or maybe my July plan with me. I'm not sure which one. Anyways, today we are migrating into a brand new bullet journal. Woohoo! Okay, I don't know why I'm like really excited in this, so if I'm a little hyped up, just stay with me for a second. This was the journal that I used in the first half of the year for 2022. Oh my god, look how thick it is. I just love it. And then this is the journal that I'm going to be using for the second half of the year. Both are from Notebook Therapy. They are the slightly smaller than A5 size. Both of the journals have 160 GSM paper weight, which makes it so that the paper is slightly thicker. So if you don't know, that means that there's not as much ghosting or bleeding, or if at all actually, and I like that. I also like the slightly smaller A5 size because I tend to write smaller, you all know this. Also, the journals have less pages. I like that because I know that I'm gonna switch my journal halfway through the year, and so I end up using most of the journal. There's not like extra pages left over, even though of course we can always find a way to use them. But less paper waste, yay! And less having to figure out what to use them for. So yay again. Anyways, I feel like this intro has already taken up way too much space, so let's just get started. Alright everybody, let's get started on our 2022 bullet journal setup for the second half of the year. I'm keeping the intro page just super simple. I did a little bit of calligraphy with my name. I colored in the rows that matched the emblem that was on the front of the journal and added some stars. Now let's get on to working on the page for the second introduction for the second half of the year. I think my style in terms of my art and creativity has really began developing into something I am definitely enjoying the process of. I know I haven't posted too many plan with me videos on YouTube the last couple of months. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that my style has kind of remained consistent throughout this year, I should say. I've just been super obsessed with drawing roses and banners and moons and making things more whimsical, but also having this vintage Victorian accent to my doodles. Sometimes it really feels like I need to drastically change my theme or my style on a monthly basis whenever I continue to bullet journal, or even on a yearly basis, and it gets really overwhelming. So I just decided, well, if I'm honestly enjoying doodling the same thing over and over, why not just keep exploring it and kind of just letting my style shift on its own rather than me forcing it to change based on, whatever ideas I have around what I think my bullet journal should look like. I feel like I always go through this weird process that right before I began bullet journaling, I place these super high expectations on myself that whatever that is about to come out and onto these pages has to be the most unique and different thing from anything I've created in the past or anything anyone else has put up online on their Instagrams or YouTube channel in terms of their art or their bullet journaling. It can feel pretty paralyzing, and I seem to forget that nothing that is being said or being created has never not been done before. Everything has been done before. We're just kind of rearranging it in new ways. So I hope that realization gave you a little bit of comfort, because it definitely gave me some comfort. It just, releases these ridiculous expectations I place on myself, when really bullet journaling is all it really has to be is some planning and some doodling. That's it. So the words that were on the banner on the page before I was working on said, "Let me just be God," and that kind of speaks on me me wanting to just be in the present, not focusing on my past or the future. I'm really trying to just align myself into who I am right now in this moment. And if the me that is in the present contradicts everything I've done and said in the past, then so be it. I just want to be authentic to who I am now. And then the quote that is on the page on the left here is from a book I am reading right now that everyone should get their hands on. It's called This Here Flesh by Cole Arthur Riley. The quote says, "I don't want to make it to the promised land if it means I forget my wilderness." I really love this quote. I think it's a very poetic way of basically saying that, my wild, also known as AKA my pain or my ego or my suffering or whatever my triggers are, they make up who I am, and I see them as like the key to whatever and whoever I am right now. So that doesn't mean I'm letting those things define me, but I also see it as like, okay, well, I'm not going to let my joy or my happiness define me either. None of it defines me. It's just the experience that I'm having right now is all me. I've been sensing that there's this like pressure around self-love culture that healing means that there's certain outcome we're trying to reach, or there's a certain ideal version of ourselves that we're trying to be, and that if we don't attain it, or that we haven't reached that, and how am I still doing these things? I thought I healed that, then it means that there is something wrong with us, or there is something wrong with our healing journey. I see it as like my promised land is already here. It's right here in all my pain and my triggers and whatever I am going through right now. It's right here. I don't need to place the promised land in this future projected version of myself where I'm forgetting who I am now. Okay, I feel like I can go on and on about that quote, so I'm just gonna stop because I really feel like I haven't really talked about bullet journaling at all. So you saw that I did my 6 calendars, July through December. Now we are getting into the future log and my content creation calendar. If you are new here, let me just say I often go on these random reflections and talks that have nothing to do with bullet journaling. There's not really any sort of structure to my voiceovers. I just say whatever comes to my head, and this mainly comes from me not knowing what to say about bullet journaling itself, or me just not being very good at it. So if you're here for bullet journaling, I welcome you. If you're here for the random talk, I welcome you too. Just know that you also may find deeply personal overshares as well. I will say this might have been the fastest setup in my bullet journal I've ever done. I tried to make things pretty simple and not too different from the past setups I've done before. For all of the outlining, the monthly numerical calendars and headers and borders and all that, I am using the Sakura fine liners in sepia tone, like always. I'm also trying a new technique, well, new for me, where I'm not outlining every doodle. So these flowers don't have any sort of outlining around them. I'm just kind of going in with the marker and drawing in the flowers with the color. I did mess up on the first one. You could see that on the left side of the July box. I actually did end up outlining it and I didn't like it very much. And so that's when I was like, oh, let me try it without the outlining. And I would say it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with it. If you haven't seen my bujo setup videos before, then I'll quickly explain my future log process. So I divide the top half and the bottom half into separate sections, and the top half has everything to do with personal events, and the second half has to do with all of my work stuff, so like any content creation that I might have. I have this habit of like making everything about work and making that as like the number one priority because it's like socially accepted as like an excuse to avoid my relationships in life. And so I think when I divide the two, it definitely helps me be attentive to both areas of my life equally, rather than kind of putting more importance on just one aspect. Okay, so now let's get into my 2022 intentions for the second half of the year. I always create an intentions page every time I make a brand new bullet journal, or anytime I'm migrating into a new bullet journal. I like doing this twice a year because I think a year is just like a really long time, and with that amount of time we often change as people. Our priorities change in life, so I feel it's good to kind of just check in with myself halfway through the year and see if anything has shifted for myself. I don't like treating these intentions as goals that I am trying to attain. I see them more as like my desires in life, and whether it comes to me or not, I'm kind of leaving it up to the universe. But my part is just showing up every single day to whatever my desire is for that moment. I think this releases a lot of the expectations on the outcome and puts more emphasis on like what I'm doing now in the moment, like on the journey rather than the destination. So I basically fill these out and then I forget about them for the next 6 months. As you can see, I didn't fill out the categories yet. I wanted to be a little bit more thoughtful when I fill them out, so I'm gonna do that later, and then I'll probably post a picture of it on my Patreon and on my Instagram, so just stay tuned for that if you wanted some ideas on the categories. But I definitely encourage you to look inside of yourself and see what is important for you. But of course, you're always welcome to check out what mine are. Let's move on to the period tracker page. I was honestly considering not doing this page spread because I had already done a 12-month period tracker in my bullet journal for the first half of the year. But then I was like, all right, do I really want to keep track of 2 bullet journals? I kind of want to minimize that as much as possible. So I decided to just create a 6-month period tracker for this bullet journal. And I think in 2023, I will continue to just do a 6-month page spread instead of adding the whole 12 months, because by now I already know that I'm gonna make a new bullet journal for the second half of the year anyways. I left some room for some reflections on, my period and just how I was feeling and my moods and everything. And then I will fill in these circles from the date my period started to the last date to where my period ends. I decided to do a junk journal collage rather than doodling on this page. All of the die cut windows and the florals are designs I created myself, and these are available in the June Patreon packages that I'm going to be sending out by the time I upload this video. I'm sure they're not going to be available. Right now, I'm not uploading any new product to my Etsy shop because Etsy is just starting to take way too many fees from us creators, and it is a little painful to watch. So I am currently in the process of building my own website. As soon as I get that up, I'll let you all know, and all of the new product will be released as soon as my shop is live. And I'm very excited about that. It's the thing I'm working on currently in the next month, so stay tuned for that. As always, my affirmations page is going to be on the right side of my period tracker. I'm going to be filling this out while I'm on my period because I do get pretty bad PMS. I often forget who I am. I start to believe my thoughts and my depression and my anxiety, so this allows me to kind of step outside of the negative mindset, that my PMS is bringing to me, and allows me to remember that my period, my thoughts, my feelings, they don't define me at all. So it is pretty helpful. All I have to do is find one true thing about myself while I'm PMSing. And this often, it doesn't solve my PMS or anything. I'm not like, all of a sudden this healed person or anything, but it does help me shift my perspective just a little bit to get me through. All right, let's move on to the reading tracker. This layout is very similar to the one that I did in the bullet journal for the first half of the year. So the column on the left will be the name of the book. The middle column is my notes and thoughts about the book. And then the last 4 columns are where I read the book or listened to the book. So I have other, scribd, audible, and physical. I have a little key on the bottom right hand side. So an open circle is that I started the book, but I just haven't finished it. And then if I finish the book, then that would be a closed circle. And then the bottom section is the books I want to read. And so any recommendations I heard on a podcast or one of you sent me in our Discord community or wherever I heard of a book that sounds interesting, that is where I am going to put the name of the book. Every other line I highlighted with a Crayola marker. It kind of reminds me of like a Google Sheets or an Excel sheet. The floral washi that I added right under the reading tracker header is actually a design I created for the bookmarks that I sent out in the June Patreon packages, and I just had like scraps of the paper laying around, so I just decided to use it as like a washi tape. I think it looks pretty nice and vintagey. So now let's move on to the layout on my right page of my 2-page spread, and this is going to be my Patreon reflections spread. This page actually used to be about the book club we used to host every month on Patreon, but we do not host a book club anymore just because it got to be a little too taxing for me. I think book clubs really do require a lot of organization and enthusiasm for them to be like successful, and for everyone who is joining to be like, there just has to be like this cohesive atmosphere of excitement that I just didn't think I had the capacity to give. So instead of the book club, we now host a monthly craft call where we all kind of get on a Discord call with each other. We don't have to keep our cameras on if we don't want to, but essentially we bring our bullet journals or craft. Some people study, some people bring their work stuff or their homework, and we all put some music on and we just hang out and talk to each other and catch up. We get personal sometimes and we just share a little bit about each other. No one has to feel the pressure like that they need to talk or anything. Some of us just stay quiet, and it's a great way for us to just kind of connect with each other. And I really, really love our craft calls. We host it one time every single month. So if that's something you are interested in, then come join our Patreon. The Discord is actually available to everyone who joins, even after they leave Patreon. You just kind of have to get in through 1 month subscription, but after that, Discord is available forever, or as soon as you decide to leave. I'm finishing up the setup by adding some tabs on the edge of each page. I fell in love with this system back in December, I believe, and now I can't stop using it because it's just been very helpful. Anytime I need to switch back and forth between the pages pretty quickly, I found it to be a lot more convenient. The washi is the same on all the tabs except for the first tab. I think that's gonna help me decipher between each section of my bullet journal. That is also what I'm gonna do with every month going forward. The tab on the cover page will have its own style of washi compared to all the other pages. Okay, my loves, let's get into the final flip through. Like I said before, I was like dreading doing the setup for this bullet journal because I had all these expectations in my mind about how I needed to make this setup so completely unique and different from all my setups before. And then I vocalized my concern in my last craft call with all of my Discord members and the community there, and you all reminded me that it doesn't matter. None of it matters. We just create and we have fun with it. And that is the thing that we are going for here. So I hope you enjoyed it, and let's get into the outro. I hope you all got some helpful ideas for your new bujo or your old bujo or wherever you are on your creative planning journey. As I said before, both my journals, or the journals I've been using lately, are from Notebook Therapy, and so if you want their journal, you can use code LILA for a discount. I also have codes from some other popular bujo brands in the description below. If you were interested in that, I get a small percentage of the, what is it called? I guess I get a little commission. I don't know why my words aren't coming to me, so thank you for that if you do use the codes. Okay, now it's time for me to go and film my July Plan With Me intros and outros, so I will see you in a sec. Okay, I am back because I just watched my videos again and noticed that I was holding this ridiculous thing in the video the whole time, and I'm sorry if that was like annoying for you to watch, but I am not redoing this video because of that. So we're just gonna have to deal with it. In the July Plan With Me, it's not gonna be there. I just had to point that out so that you knew that I am aware and that I am not incompetent in some way. So anyways, bye. I'll see you in a second.